Hello, everybody. How about that game? That was a pretty fun one, I would say. Uh, Welcome to another edition of ECH Postgame Live. After a 4-2 win over the LA Kings and a hat trick, Hats just recently hit the ice at Climate Pledge Arena. Such a fun game to be at for, I'm sure, all of you to watch. Jaden Schwartz just showing up big time in this one. Joey Decord showing up big time in this one. I mean, lots of stuff to talk about. And of course, Dylan will join me short in a little bit. He's going to go talk to the players and coaches. I can't wait to hear what Jaden Schwartz had to say after that one. I'm sure the locker room is in a great mood at the moment. So thanks everyone for joining me. But of course, before we jump into chat, got to thank our sponsor, Queen Anne Beer Hall. I bet it is absolutely rocking at Queen Anne Beer Hall. I'm sure people threw their hats at this one. It's just such a fun game with the goal horn going off. Fantastic place to watch a Kraken game. And if you're not here in the building, it's the best place to be to watch a game. But I want to jump right into chat here because we have some super chats already lined up. So first one from Schultz here. Great win. Yes, seen this movie a lot this season. Waiting for their encore performance against the Sabres before too much praise. And look, yes, we have seen big wins before this season. We have, but you know what? It's all about the consistency. It's all about keeping it going. And yeah, the Kraken are going to have to bring this effort against a team that probably isn't going to take this much effort to beat. In that Buffalo Sabres team that we saw them very recently, like they're not very good. You can get away with a 20-minute effort against them, but I want to see the Kraken not try and do that and give the full 60. Well, Kraken gave like 40-ish tonight, but at least give something closer to that for the Buffalo game. So I understand, you're being a little reserved there, Schultz. I'm there too, but I do want to enjoy this win for what it was. Next super chat here from Chip. According to my calculations, we won. Joey. And I love the Joey chants at the end from the crowd too. That was awesome. There's the final seconds ticked away. There were more Joey chants in the crowd. And when he was announced as one of the 3 stars, I mean, Joey Decord, as well as Jaden Schwartz in that first line played, I guess they're like biggest reasons why the Kraken won. But let's not let the hat trick let anyone lose sight of just how good Joey Decord was in this game, and especially in the third period. I didn't see what is the final shot count. I'm going to go look it up here on my phone real quick. It was 16-0 LA at one point, and I think they got up to 17 or 18 by the time the Kraken finally got a shot. I think the Kraken might have just had the one, and it was the empty goal, but let me look and check. Yeah, shots were 17-1 LA in that third period. The one shot for the Kraken was the Schwartz empty net goal. That's all Joey Decord. He just turned away grade A chance after grade A chance in that third period. And without him, I feel like with just about any other goalie in net, the Kings probably win that, and they probably win it in regulation. So next super chat here from B. Joey just loves making a 2-on-0 save against the LA Kings, huh? That's right. He did have that 2-on-0 save in the last game against LA too. I think it might have been Fogle and Byfield also. I'm trying to remember who it was. Anyway, I'll continue with the super chat. What a game by him. Obviously, Schwartz with the hat, he is awesome, but Joey freaking Decord, 17 saves in the third alone. Crazy. Definitely. And I'm glad this isn't getting lost in the hat trick. And I'm glad you all are recognizing what we just saw with Joey Decord in the third period, basically single-handedly keeping that game, keeping the Kraken ahead of this one. And just they were high difficulty saves of all sorts. There's the 2-on-0, there were tips, there were screenshots. He was having to battle through traffic. There were passes across. Just about any type of save that you could ask a goalie to make, he made it in that third period, which I mean, this is Vezina that he is bringing for the Kraken, and it's showing, and they're able to get the result. Next super chat here from Paul. So this is what it's like to have a real first line. I can get used to this. Definitely. And we did talk plenty about Joey, but we do need to talk, of course, about this first line of Jaden Schwartz, Matty Beniers, and Capo Caco. And we've talked about the Kraken finally having a proper first line. And I think we need to shift the conversation just a little bit. Right now, I'm talking about right now, not talking about in general, of course. We don't want to get too carried away. But I think right now, it's one of the best lines in all of hockey. The way that they are playing against top-level competition and just dominating those matchups all the time. This is a legit first line, and it's as good of a line, really, as the Kraken have ever had. And so what that does for you, and you're starting to see it, this is the type of thing that you usually get when you have proper star players. is that you can throw your first line out there with like, a Nathan McKinnon or an actual star player, and they can just go out there and dominate those minutes. But we're seeing that from these three right now. And it's this trump card that really you only have if you have a true first line. It's just special what they're able to do. And they've been on the ice for, I think, what is it? Like 6 of the Kraken's last 7 goals. It's been huge. Next super chat here from L Bell. Who cares about draft position when you can have winning vibes like this? I think we do need to put the draft position stuff on hold, at least for right now, because look, I know these are 2 points that kind of help you lose draft position, but this was just such a fun game. The Kraken brought the effort for the first 40 minutes for sure. And then the way they hung on in theatrical fashion in the last 20, like this is just too much fun to worry about lost draft position. I am totally with you, L Bell, and thank you for the super chat. Next super chat here from Light. So RJ, 3.5 times 5. How are we feeling now? I'm feeling good about that. If you could lock him in for that, do it. I'm happy to have my initial like skepticism be proven wrong. I did say yes at the end when thinking about it. I just wanted a minute to think, but you know what? No, I had no thinking whatsoever. Just sign him to that. Capo Caco seems like he is the real deal, at least worth that. I don't know that he's still going to live up to second overall pick billing, but he is legit on this first line, and he has been a game changer for the Kraken. And what, 3 assists tonight? So I think that brings him up to 13 points in 14 games as a Seattle Kraken. That is excellent production. And then also on Capo Caco too, the way that he was multiple times just able to body out Kings defenders. And you saw it on that first shift right before the Schwartz goal, kind of earlier in that shift, where he's coming in one-on-one against a Kings defender. I believe it's Turcotte. And Turcotte tries to lean into him and shove him down, and Caco just shrugs him right off like it's nothing. And that kind of size, the Kraken just do not have in their forward group. They need more of it, but it's so refreshing to see that from him. Next super chat here from Milo. Cha-Cha Hattie, Joey wants that goalie goal so bad. You could tell he does. And you know what? I'll mention this little anecdote. This morning, I was in the Kraken locker room, and Joey was there, after morning skate. He was kind of get ready. And normally I'd go up and talk to him because he's a nice, friendly guy, easy and approachable, but he just seemed kind of like extra focused and locked in. He was kind of looking at something. I'm like, oh, he's starting tonight. I won't bug him. And I see what he's looking at on the TV, and it is the Alex Nedeljkovic goalie goal from last night. And he's just watching that, and he just looks so locked in and focused. And I'm just thinking, okay, I get it. Joey, he wants that to be him. So he'll get one day, but yeah, he definitely wants the goalie goal. And at the end there, they dumped it in on him. If there was a few more seconds left, I think he knew that there was like 1 or 2 seconds. There's no way it was getting all the way down. But I think if there was a little bit more time, he would have gone for it. Super chat here from Jeff Dill. Caco heard you last post game and proved he's worth signing. Yeah, hey, you know what? If that's what it takes, prove me wrong for hesitating at 5 years times 3.5. If that's the motivation he needs, I don't know that he watched post game. He's probably got other things to do around this time. I'm sure the Kraken maybe will get to talk to him, or Dylan will get to talk to him. But yeah, I didn't even say he wasn't worth it, but still, proven wrong. Whatever. I'll go with the narrative. That is fine. Thank you for the super chat, Jeff Dillon. I'm sure we'll have some fun with that on the Armchair GM stream later this month as well. Big super chat here from Sean. So happy to see Schwartzy on the board with a Kraken Hattie. Caco is a beast. Joey. If we can't have a goalie goal, I'll take a Hattie on the empty net goal. Yeah, those were the 2 really fun outcomes when the Kings pulled their goalie. I was thinking, you had Schwartz on the ice, so either you get a hat trick. So it's fun. 2 of the 6 players on the ice, right? If they score, it's a massively fun outcome. So I was happy to see that, and it's definitely the good second best thing, I think, to the goalie goal. And especially, and I don't think we talked about this yet, especially after Schwartz hit the post on his first attempt from distance to go for the empty net. I think everyone's thought that was going in. Hits the post, but then he makes it right on the second attempt. So I know he'd probably feel bad about that too if the Kings did find a way to score. Super chat here from Edward. And again, thank you everybody for all the super chats. This is awesome. Super chat here from Edward. Any day is a great day to beat LA, but a Hattie makes it even sweeter. And let's hear it for Joey. So many Joey chants going on in this post game here. And yeah, it's any day is a good day to beat LA. I mean, I grew up a Sharks fan, as some of you might know, so certainly on board with that, the beat LA. And yeah, I mean, the Kings are a good team too. And I want to talk about, yeah, I think this is a good super chat to talk about it, right? But the opponent specific way the Kraken beat the Kings, right? Because the Kings are a very good defensive team. Dan Bilesma talked about it with us this morning. He said that they are one of the best defensive teams in the league. The Kings had allowed 6 goals in their last 6 games. So just averaging 1 goal against per game. That's pretty darn good. And the Kings are built to defend leads. They're built to go up early and just defend that lead the rest of the game and suffocate you and not give you anything. The Kings are not built to trail in games and try to come back. And they did a pretty good job putting on a push in this one, but still, the ideal way to play against the Kings is if you can just get a goal early on and make them chase the game, they're going to have to play a little riskier. They're going to have to open up some gaps for you where you can then counterattack and take advantage. And the Kraken were able to do that, set the tone early on the first shift, score a goal, and they were able to dictate momentum from then on. And so this is the blueprint for how you beat the LA Kings. And I love seeing that kind of opponent-specific success that the Kraken are having. And then super chat here from B. Lottery odds matter, but so are the vibes, especially getting such a dramatic and fun win in front of the home fans. That means a lot, and it's important, definitely, especially with the season not going the way that the fans hoped it would. Having this kind of effort and this kind of game in front of the home crowd is all the more important. I think you're right, it is more important having that here versus having it on the road somewhere. It makes a difference to do something like that in front of these fans. And the crowd got so into it. It feels like the Kraken haven't had the fans haven't had a ton to cheer for at home this season, but they leaned into it. They got into it. The atmosphere was awesome in this one. It was one of those that was just that much more fun to be in the building for sure. And then as Sean's saying, I do want to jump to the bottom of chat just because it kind of has to do with what I was talking about earlier. I feel like the Kraken kind of beat the Kings at their own game tonight. Exactly. Like the Kraken beat the Kings at their own game. They got up early, they defended the lead, they got good goaltending, and they just, I don't want to say they suffocated the Kings because the Kings just dominated them in the third. But you know what? They were able to hold on to that lead. And more often than not, when you are the team holding the lead, things are just going to go your way, whether it's the bounces, whatever. And even though the Kraken, it's kind of gone the other way for them. They've done a good job of erasing those third period leads for other teams. Usually it's going to go the way that the team that has the lead. And then a super chat here from Will. I don't see a message attached to it, so Will, feel free to throw something in chat if you want to say anything. But thank you for the super chat for the time being, Will. I'm going to go check on that in a little bit, but I'm going to hop up to the top of chat here. And thank you, everybody, for the super chats. What solid 13 minutes of super chats, so really appreciate that, everybody. And then with Hattie, we won. General Pancakes, the decor jersey works wonders already. Yeah, it's certainly working there. And Dexter, that final sequence for the goal was nuts. I know, so much suspense in that final minute there as they were kind of searching for the empty net goal. And afraid they might give one up to Hockey Fork. I'm one of the people giving Tankathon nearly daily traffic, but even that game made me stoked. I'm happy to hear that, Hockey Fork, and I'm happy to kind of see the vibes from everybody that, look, a lot of us are thinking tank. We know the reality of how unlikely it is for the Kraken to make the playoffs this year, but I'm glad we're all able to enjoy a win like this because especially after the last two, like Pittsburgh, Buffalo, they felt like wins that weren't fully earned and that it was really the other team collapsing. I'm glad when we do have a solid effort from the Kraken, they're able to win in fun fashion, that we can enjoy all of that together. So just really glad to see that. And then we have something from Will to go along with the previous super chat. Mahura, unsung hero. I think definitely in this one, the big hit from Josh Mahura was the play that kind of got that whole thing going, right? Where the Kraken were able to get their second goal. That was a massive hit. I think that's the biggest hit that a Kraken player has done this season, maybe even dating back to last season. People in chat can throw in their contenders if they want, but that one, and you could see it coming too. And Capo Caco mentioned this on the intermission show, talking to Piper Shaw, where he was saying, he's like, I saw it coming there. And we could all kind of see it coming, especially from our vantage point up in the press box, where you're looking down, you can see Mahura just had him in the train tracks. And there was really nothing the Kings player could do to get out of the way of that one. And then, of course, after that hit, Mahura's there. And then 3 Kings forwards just all clumped to him to try to fight him and get him to answer for that clean hit. Of course, that's a mistake. They get caught behind the play. The Kraken, to their credit, the rest of the guys, they keep playing because they have the puck. They go up the ice and they take advantage of the 2-on-1. That really could have been a 3-on-1 too. They had so many numbers going up there. And that's exactly how you take advantage of a momentum swing in a sequence like that. And it just feels like the Kraken are usually on the wrong side of that sort of thing, but they get it done here. And that's the kind of thing that can just really get to the morale of your opponent. When your opponent is doing a lot better this season in the standings, right? They're going to feel better than you. They're going to feel tougher than you. But that sort of thing going against them really kind of helps turn the tide, even mentally, I think. And then, yeah, Harley, just watched that hit again. Wow. Don't know much at all about Mahura. Yeah, I mean, he's there. He's been really good. He's kind of earned that final defense spot for the Kraken this season. And he's just kind of been solid and steady. That's the probably the most, I don't know, the most like eye-catching play that he's had, but man, he picked a good time for it. Super chat from Light here. What excites me the most about the Beniers line is that Schwartz is someone we could replace. Maddie and Kakko do drive a lot of play, Katten or Rakoff, thinking maybe one of those two for that line. And that is interesting. I do think as much as Jaden Schwartz is helping drive this stuff, and he's an indispensable piece of that line right now and the effort that he's putting in the long term, and I go back into GM brain, I don't want to talk about a guy who just got a hat trick as, oh yeah, well, he's replaceable. But in the grand scheme of things, that is the type of player that you can go out and get. It's not like, a guy like Kakko or Beniers that are, a second overall pick that you kind of have to go that high to draft them. Jaden Schwartz, if it should come to that, right? And again, he's not all that young, right? Thinking 4 or 5 years down the line, you can probably put somebody else in that spot. Katten or Rakoff is interesting. I don't know that Katten can't really, at least right now, and I could consult with Dylan on this, probably can't do what Jaden Schwartz does. I just, with the size there, I know Schwartz isn't the biggest guy, but I feel like Katten isn't going to go to those dirty areas. That's not really his game. He kind of plays more of a finesse game. And then Rakoff, though, that's interesting because he does bring size and he brings a really good shot. And I wouldn't mind seeing Rakoff in a couple years in that spot to see what it looks like. But they do have prospects that could maybe fit in there in the long term as we kind of have that long-term mentality. But for the time being, Jaden Schwartz, absolutely getting it done. Let's see as we scroll back up toward the top of chat here. Viren, just lol at this being the season we get multiple hat tricks. I know, like the Kraken did not have multiple hat tricks in any previous season, and then yeah, this is the year. I can't explain it. I don't know, but it's cool. I'll take it. And then Jenna, team came out ready to play and got the crowd into it right away. Great game. Yeah, and that start is huge, not just for getting a lead on the Kings, who aren't really good at chasing games, but for getting the crowd back into it and just fixing that problem of bad starts that they had for a solid couple weeks really before these last two games. It's nice to see them string two good starts together. That's for sure. Sean, yeah, we all needed that. That was a blast. So happy for everyone at CPA tonight. I agree with that. And then Kara, after the finish on that Winnipeg game, I feel like they deserved this one. I'm with you. We talked about it in the Winnipeg game. The Kraken deserved a better fate. They get one tonight. And Jaden Schwartz talked about it too with Piper Shaw right after the game, after the 3 stars. He said, we felt really bad about the way that last game ended, losing in the last minute. We wanted to come out and win this one. And it seemed like a big motivating factor to them. So happy to see that response from the group. Julia, it was a great game, but God, this team infuriating. Like, I understand that because they're capable of doing something like this, but they just do it so infrequently. Like, yeah, this is, it does make it, if you kind of have that mindset, it does make it a little bit more infuriating too, just knowing they are capable of this, when they don't play well, that like, this is what you could do, but you don't do it all the time. I get that. Russ, great game. I assume the not so great third period was just to build dramatic tension. Yeah, no, all according to the plan, just to to build the drama and make it more exciting. Yeah, you know what? Hockey's weird like that. Let's see. Viren, I would like to formally apologize to Jaden Schwartz for doubting him because he keeps getting stuck babysitting the problem children. Yeah, it does seem like he's been given that responsibility in the past, and it can make a player look worse. But man, with a couple of really good line mates, that line is just rolling, and he is the line fixer again. Like he is that guy. Um, see, I just see George talking about how, as a team tankathon, but this game is so fun. I just love seeing that sentiment from everybody tonight. Let's see, and then yeah, Kako passing the puck to Schwartz for the Hattie class. Yeah, Kako probably could have had that, but of course you got to pass it to your line mate for the hat trick. That's, he's a selfless guy. He's got 3 assists in this game. He's team first. I feel like Finns are that way too. See, yeah, if we're gonna drop draft position, this is the way to do it. I just love seeing that from everybody. Let's see. I just see so much of the everybody happy despite being on Team Tank. That's great. Alex, whatever the team does, Shane needs more ice time. I am still in that camp. I talked about it last post game. What did he finish with? How much ice time did he get tonight? I'll look that up here as I see we have a super chat, but as I can scroll back down to that and read the super chat while I kind of simultaneously look at the ice time for Shane in this one to address it. Wow, there's so many NHL games tonight to scroll through. All right, here we go. Super chat from Light. Fun stat. Kakko has had as many 3-point games with Seattle in 14 games as he did in 330 with New York, which happened this season. That is a really fun stat. I like that. Thank you for bringing that one up, Light. That is awesome. Is that on 20 anywhere? Can we just cite you and put that out there? That is a great stat. And then super chat here from Chip. Do we think Turbo is okay? I know he's back from illness and took that hard puck and went down. I was worried about him after that one. I mean, Dylan was saying that, it looks like kind of play where you could break something, but the fact that he did come back, he did go down the tunnel, but he came back pretty soon afterward. I feel like he's going to be okay. And, we'll find out, I guess, if there's practice tomorrow or whatever, but it's, as Terrible Otis says, Turbo must have an enormous bruise. I do think that's just going to be what it is. It's just an enormous bruise from blocking that shot. And he's done that stuff all season. Like, he has laid the body out there. And I think he's okay. And the way that Dan was talking about him this morning, as far as the illness, I think he's pretty much all the way better. So, good on Turbo, but it is never easy sacrificing the body like he did and like he does really all season. It's really something. Looking at the Shane Wright ice time, where is it? 13:38. Okay. Not all that high, but you know what? I'm not worried about it after this game and his line was doing well, I thought. But let's see. Actually, I want to see the line ice time for the first line. Beniers 2019, Schwartz 1914, Kakko 17-27. Chandler Stevens still with more ice time, but he actually did play well. This is one of Chandler Stevenson's better games this season, I thought. So I actually don't have a huge problem with the ice time distribution tonight. And then we have another super chat here from JTB Hockey. Mahura set the tone with that hit. Great win. I will say the future still looks bright. We just have to be patient. Good young talent coming soon. I mean, definitely the Kraken have a dynamite prospect pool. Good young talent, especially the talent, the young talent's already on the team. I just keep thinking of Matty Beniers, Capo Kakko, and Shane Wright, how good the three of them have looked, and especially Beniers and Kakko together. Those are guys that you have under team control for a long time, and that you can just continue to build off of. And so if you can just kind of replace the guys you need to replace, in the core and in the middle six, and work around that, like, there's definitely a lot of positives you can take if you're trying to kind of fix things over the off season. And I keep looking forward to the Armchair GM stream later this month, because we're gonna have a lot of stuff to dive into and kind of how we focus on the strengths of this Kraken group right now, and especially that first line, and then build around it in the right way that you can turn things around, maybe even sooner rather than later. So I just can't wait for that. Let's go back into chat here, and I get so many messages in chat. Really appreciate everyone being so active here. Still don't see Dylan yet, but I imagine this one's taken a little bit longer than the 8 or 9 minutes that it did a couple home games ago. I think guys probably have more to say, more fun things to say after this one. And I do wonder who got the belt also. I mean, it's got to be Schwartz, right? Yeah, maybe Joey. I don't know. It's got to be one of those two, I think. But can't wait to see who got the belt also. Let's see. Jenna, no shade to Carts, but I love Hayes in the lineup. You know, I have liked John Hayden in the lineup, and he has brought a little edge, a little grit, and you know, it's been kind of subtle. Like he hasn't fought anybody yet, but I do like the physical element that he brings as well. And one thing that I don't know if you know most of you notice this, or it's a little subtle, but when he goes to the net, and he likes going to the net, especially if the puck's the point, he'll always get there. He'll always be the net front presence. But when he does, if the goalie stops it, covers it up, if there's a whistle, he will stand right next to the goalie, like right on top of the goalie. And he's not going to move for a little while. He just stays there, kind of just a way to like mark his turf a little bit. And you can see opponents like tonight, you'd often see some Kings defensemen like look like they're going to try and push him out of there. They see who it is and they just don't want to deal with it. So they let him just stand there, and it doesn't really accomplish anything. The puck is covered, but like, I don't know. I like the swagger. I like that, you know, kind of marking your territory there in front of the net. I think that's kind of cool. And I think the Kraken could use a little bit more of that energy as well. Sean, better sign Kako sooner. It's going to get pricey. No need for ugly arbitration. I do wonder if they start to think about locking him in right now. I mean, you are kind of at this point paying based on very good results early on. And so I'd say, well, you got time to wait. The price is high right now. Like, how much higher could it be? But I said that with Joey Decord at the start of the season. So who knows? You know, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about there. Edward, wow, you know, the game really went well. If chat's saying nice things about Stevenson, it's true. And look, he played a good game. I will say Chandler Stevenson played a good game tonight, and especially on his goal. Like a lot of his goals I've kind of dismissed recently because they've just been floater shots from distance that the goalies happen to flub. But you know what? This was a hard-earned goal, and it was a smart goal. I love it because he makes a great cross-ice pass to go east-west and open up some space for himself. He cuts in out wide, right? And the defender just loses him because Stevenson, he's like, oh, he's going off into the corner, right? Yeah, no, I'll look forward to see where the puck is. And then Stevenson just cuts right back in and gets there to the slot just in time for the tip. Like, that's really crafty. That is good stuff from Chandler Stevenson. And it's a willingness to go, even though it was kind of a drive-by, to that slot area where goals come from. So more of that from Chandler Stevenson. Like, I will give credit where credit is due. Stevenson, great stuff from him on that goal. Had a good game tonight, which is also a good sign. Just good to see that from him. Super chat here from Paul. Now we need a Kako type line mate for Shane to keep building on the foundation. Yeah, I mean, I think Shane's current line mates are doing an okay job. But it would be nice, again, if there are players like that available, young guys that you can bring in and kind of help bring your other young players along. Like, Kraken should be looking to acquire guys like that. And so I do think Shane kind of has the help and the line mates he needs. He just needs to get a little more opportunity. That's kind of the thing I've been saying. But you know, I certainly would continue to look for players like that. And then as I see Dylan starting to get ready, so he should join us in a few minutes here as he's getting this camera and everything out of the bag. So looking forward to have Dylan joining us soon. But before that, we've got another super chat from Cameron. Again, love all the super chats tonight, everybody. Thank you so much. Dylan, I really appreciate that. Speaking of our prospects, how far out do you see Chalet or Furcus? Few years still. Berkeley Catton seems legit too. Dylan is the much better prospects guy. I mean, I'll give my take, but I'll kind of circle back around on this later for Dylan to answer this one. I think Chalet, I mean, I could see him maybe get a brief look this season at the NHL just for a few games, cup of coffee. But next season, he's going to come into training camp, and I think he's really going to try and earn one of those spots. And if he has a good training camp, I think he might earn a bottom six spot. Jagger Furcus, I think, still needs another year or two in the AHL. He's doing well. He's just so small. He needs to have more time to adjust to the physical rigors of the pro game still. And it's not a knock on him based on skill. It's just the size. He just needs time. And then Berkeley Catton, I mean, yeah, he's put up some crazy numbers, with Spokane recently. I mean, he had a hat trick and I think like a 10-0 win. You know, he looks legit too. And then I know Dylan has talked about it in the past, maybe giving him a shot at the NHL level next year, just because he doesn't really have anything else to prove in junior. Like, there's nothing left that he can really do or learn at that level. And so you can't put him in the AHL. So maybe you do look to put him up at the NHL next season and just kind of heavily shelter him. And then a super chat here from Elijah. Love both near identical feeds and shots from first two Schwartz goals. Super fun. I mean, definitely. I mean, the two feeds across, right, where he's able to kind of take that pass from left to right, and just the passing, the connectedness between those guys, between Schwartz and Beniers and Kako is just so fun to watch. They just look more connected than the Kraken line this season. I see we've got Dylan here now, ready to join us. So let's bring in Dylan. Hey there, Dylan. How's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I'm guessing a more atmosphere than the last time that you were here for a home game, huh?
Then I think any time I've been here this season, like I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've been down there for a win, right?
It might be actually, yeah.
I really think it is. So yeah, no, that was definitely a nice change to be able to see everybody having a good time and enjoying themselves rather than what we normally get.
I'd say so. And I see you're a little further away from the camera too. Looks like you got a little extension cord or something for your earbuds, huh?
Yeah. I can't. Am I dark?
You are. Yes, you are. You look like
understand.
mystery man in the shadows,
Yeah,
mystery source.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. Either the lights, either it's the light show on the face like I usually have up close,
Yeah,
or it's just this mystery man in the shadows. Maybe we need to get a ring light and
I
just
know.
bring it in. We're still tweaking this on the backgrounds, everybody. As I'm sure some
Well,
of you can tell, I got the new background here. For
sick.
those who love the beam, I'm sorry, but I've got this behind me. You can all let me know what you think. But yeah, Dylan and I are still kind of working on making that look better.
I was gonna say if somebody didn't have to constantly steal my camera,
If someone didn't have to what?
constantly steal my camera.
Yeah, sorry, I am using your webcam. Yeah, I will be better about bringing that. But anyway, too much inside baseball here with our post game live setups here. Tell me about what the mood was inside that Kraken locker room. What did the players have to say? What did Dan have to say after I think a pretty impressive win?
Yeah, no, obviously everybody was having a good time. People were really excited. It was nice to be able to have a Dan press conference where he's happy, he's joking. We get to see the fun side of Dan. Like I said, haven't gotten that really this season doing these. It's just so tonally different, right? And being able to kick things off player wise with Josh Mahura talking about the hit that he had against Warren Fogle and kind of how that one produced a goal for the Kraken and just kind of help get the team going and do something a little bit different than what we normally see from them. Having a big physical presence like that, right? A big hit that's going to go and get them all going. It's not normally this team's identity, right? Like that's not an average thing that we see from them. And he talked about it. Just it was one of those where he was kind of stepping up, trying to fill a gap after he felt like he maybe made a little bit of a rough turnover there. Goes up there, fills the gap, and just the timing of it all kind of worked. That as he's stepping up and entering that space, it's a player with the puck in front of him, and he wasn't going to stop himself from hitting him. That's for sure.
That's an interesting way to phrase it. Like, well, I was going up to fill a gap, and I wasn't going to stop myself.
I mean, he didn't say that, but that was very much what he was implying. He wasn't going to worry about making contact there.
Yeah, definitely. And did you guys get to talk to Jaden Schwartz after the hat trick?
Oh, of course we did. Yes, and obviously he was very excited, very complimentary of his teammates, his line mates. That line has obviously been producing great things here for the last little bit. But definitely wanted to talk about Capo Caco and the feeds that he was able to give him both on that very first play. Just what a great steal, collecting of the loose puck, whatever it is you want to call it, from Capo Caco there, and then going down and making that great play across Jaden Schwartz, and Jaden Schwartz with the finish. I mean, give himself some credit there, right? He should. But he talked about that, and then also for the empty netter there at the end, and had that first attempt go all the way down the ice, wasn't quite able to get it. It hits the post, and so he was happy that his teammates were able to take care of him there. Again, shout out Capo Caco for probably having a good look at the empty netter himself coming up through the neutral zone, but wanted to make sure Jaden Schwartz had that opportunity to get it done. So Jaden Schwartz, happy about that. And we got to talk to Joey for a little bit as well, and just kind of talk to
I
him.
bet that was fun.
Yeah, about what it's like to experience a third period like that. Kings out shooting the Kraken 16-1, how that situation kind of developed, right? And then I thought it was a good question from Glenn, actually. David Jones Locker asked him about what's the thought process when you're facing down a 2-on-0 shorthanded like that, right? And Joey said, anytime the team goes on the power play, right? Like you want to try to make sure that you keep yourself ready just in case things happen, right? Doesn't happen often, but things do happen. And so you want to keep yourself ready there. But a lot of it is, he was really kind of giving us back and forth between you're not really thinking, you're reacting, and then also all of the things that he was thinking about. Does a goalie think in a situation like that? Do they not think? Jury's still a little out, even after talking with Joey on that one.
Interesting. I'm sure he just takes you like basically what he's thinking about that situation. Maybe I don't know, but just a bunch of like half thoughts. I feel like just you get a quick impulses maybe that you react to. Now I got to get to this super chat, and I'm sure Gregory was waiting for you, Dylan. Lemon lime gate. Actually, I should let you read it. Hang on. All
Well,
right, we got it. All right, you getting it ready? There it is.
we are ready. Lemon lime Gatorade time, baby. I'll let you read the
Schwartzy
rest.
with the Hattie. Tonight was great for me. Kraken, Caps, and the Washington Commanders won. Yeah, big sports night for you there, Gregory. I mean, especially the Commanders. We definitely had that game on during the intermission, as a few people had it on their computers. And I know John Forsland mentioned it on the broadcast, the final score of that game as well. And I feel bad for Everett Fitzhugh. We talked to him at intermission. He was pretty disappointed, I'd say. Maybe not surprised, but disappointed by his beloved Detroit Lions.
I was gonna say, a lifetime of being a Lions fan prepares you for a moment like that. It felt like, right?
I feel like he was ready and kind of maybe knew something like that might happen, but it didn't stop the Minnesota people, JT Brown included, from giving him a hard time about how that game went. That's for sure.
Definitely, definitely. That was some fun stuff to have during the intermission there for sure. But
Yep.
yeah, congrats on all the victories tonight, Gregory, and of course, thanks for the Gatorade as always.
Yep. Thank you, Gregory. And we've got another super chat here. This one from Mike. My brother-in-law and I have a bet this season. Who will get more points between Maddie and Shane this year? It's pretty close so far. That is an interesting bet. And Mike, let me know what side of it you are on.
Yeah,
Do you have Maddie or do you have Shane? I'm curious which dog you have in that one.
right now I'd be feeling good if I've got Maddie in that, just
Yeah, I
because
would
that
too.
line has been on a
They're on
tear.
fire.
They're doing so well, but that's a really good one to make. I feel like that would have been a fun one at the beginning of the year to have going there in the family.
For sure. I mean, depending on which side you're on. All right, Mike on side and Maddie, hashtag go blue. So seems like you've got a good side in that bet there. I mean, Maddie with a 3-point lead going into tonight, and I think did he get 2 or 3 more in this one?
It would
He got just one. He just got
just
the one.
one,
You're right.
yeah.
He was around those other goals, yeah, but he just got one more tonight, so he's got a little bit of a lead there on Shane Wright, and so your brother-in-law probably rooting for more ice time for Shane Wright, as Dylan and I are. So as we go into chat here, we got another super chat. All right, this one from Chuck. Enjoyed your red glare discussion on the PWHL game today. I vote for Seattle Sockeye for the prospective women's team here. Great fun to see you up on the Twins, Dylan. Yes, you were on the Twins for that
Yeah, that was.
PWHL game. You were definitely noticed. If you're hoping to go under the radar, you certainly didn't.
It was like one of the few times in my life I have not wanted to be noticed, and so of course that's when they choose to throw me up there. But yeah, it was still fun, and appreciate the super chat there, Chuck. And yeah, it was just such a fun time. I mean, that's why we spent nearly an hour on the regular podcast talking about the game and just how much fun we had at it.
Definitely. And also appreciate the very kind message from Shannon earlier today
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, really appreciate that. So as we go into chat here, and I'm there's a lot of stuff I'm going to have to kind of skip over because when Dylan joined us and everything, but if I did skip over anything you put in there you want to talk about, feel free to throw it back into chat right now and we will get to it. And then let's see. Elbel asking, do you have a sense for what the off-ice vibes are like with Kako and the team? We know about Tolvi, but do you think he's settling in well and gelling with the other guys in the locker room? With Schwartz and Beniers, I'd say certainly.
Yeah, I mean, the on ice chemistry there is just unreal. So I got to imagine that everything there is pretty good.
Yeah, and Jaden Schwartz this morning had some good things to say about, Kako as well. And, there, I think the on ice chemistry, it kind of has to go with the off ice chemistry, right? I mean, you see that with so many of these great line combinations the Kraken have had, you know, even if it's not necessarily like outside the building or whatever, you'll see them in the locker room talking or just communicating. That is how you get that chemistry down.
Right, exactly. And so, I think it's natural for it to maybe take a couple games as somebody comes in, figure out where they're going to sit it, fit in the lineup. Everybody gets to know each other, gets to know tendencies, which areas on the ice, all of that different kind of stuff. But it does feel like, as much as we talk about Jaden Schwartz being a net front presence kind of guy, Matty Beniers, being a perimeter player, trying to work his way to the inside more, all of that kind of stuff. I really think at the end of the day, this was a team that Dan was trying to turn into, a 200-foot attacking team, a team that was going to skate, a team that wanted to use transition to their benefit. And I really think the one area that we don't talk enough about Capo Caco and what he's been able to do with both Matty Beniers and Jaden Schwartz is really turn them into transitional attackers. And it's a lot of the work that he does up high in the defensive zone. He's just such a great defensive winger. The way he sits in those passing lanes back to the point, he's able to create so many turnovers. And then, you can really see that Jaden Schwartz, especially, has gotten himself into a spot where he knows, okay, if Capo Caco's, if the puck's over on his side, he's going to at some point try to make a play. He's good enough that a lot of the time he is going to be able to make that play, and he can kind of be ready to get on his horse and get up the ice quickly. And just feels like a lot of the chances from that line have come off the rush, and I just think a lot of that has been Capo Caco defensively playing in a way that we just haven't seen a Kraken winger play like.
Yeah, and there's so many things that he brings that the Kraken just don't really have anywhere else in their forward group. And I think it's highlighting some of the deficiencies that were there, but also just how refreshing it is to have him. So I do want to talk about one previous super chat that we got from Cameron, because Cameron asks, speaking of our prospects, how far out do you see Chalet, Furcus, and then Berkeley Catton as well? And I did give my own answer, but of course, you're our main prospects guy. That's your area of specialty. So real quick, because I did take a little time on it, but real quick, kind of where do you see those three as far as their timelines?
I mean, okay, realistically, I think you're waiting another year on both Chalet and Catton, and then they're both ready to go. I think there's the possibility that you could bring them in next year. I don't know about full season. I think Chalet you probably have down with the Firebirds, and then maybe he's like one of the first guys you call up if he's doing well. You can reward him with that, and then maybe late in the year, depending on what the team situation is, right? Like you could maybe have a situation there where it makes sense to bring him in. Berkeley Catton's a tough one because he still has that year of junior eligibility. If you want to do something with him, you have to go all in essentially, right? Either that or you got to convince him to go to college. Um, I've talked about it. I think there's a chance that depending on the larger moves the organization is going to make this offseason, if they make them, if you go with the new bring in a new general manager or something like that, the team's definitely kind of going more in the direction of a rebuild. I don't hate the idea of maybe bringing Berkeley Catton in next year, or at the very least giving him the 9 games at the beginning of the year to kind of see where he's at vis-a-vis NHL competition. So I think he would, run away with things, and if you're trying to make the playoffs, I don't think he makes the roster. But if you are kind of going to go through a transition year where you're like, look, we need to rebuild, we need to kind of retool, we just need to have some churn over with this roster. I think Berkeley Catton could be an option for you next year because bottom line is he's too good for the level he's at, and unfortunately, he's just got to go back there.
Right, and that is one of the unfortunate things. I mean, the Kraken dealt with that with Shane Wright for a little while, so Kraken fans who have been fans for a couple of years are probably familiar with that type of situation. So we'll see what they end up deciding to do. I mean, it'll be definitely a training camp battle situation, whatever you want to call it, to watch next year. And then Jason saying, I feel like whatever the vibes were, they're that much better after Kako passed up the open net to feed his line mate. For sure. That's one of those things that I'm sure Kako has endeared himself to his new teammates plenty, but that just does it even more.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely huge when a player does that. They're especially because like it's a 1 goal game. Like, honestly, if I'm the coach, I maybe don't love
Don't
seeing
love
that.
it, yeah.
Like, I would rather just like, okay, let's just ice this game and get out of here and make sure we get our 2 points. But it is one of those things that everybody in that locker room takes note of, and they're going to file that away, and it's going to, as you're still probably building your idea of who this person is that's on your team in your mind, that's one of those things that's going to be, multiple marks over in the plus column probably.
Definitely, and Kendall mentioning the smile that Kako gave Schwartz after the goal as well. Like those are good signs.
Definitely.
Edward saying Sockeye was one of the names I liked when the Seattle NHL team was announced. So if a Seattle PWHL team took that name, that'd be cool. Yeah, I mean that was I think probably like top three. I still had Kraken number one. I thought that was cool at the time, but Sockeye was up there.
Yeah, yeah. No, it definitely was. I think it's very unique and specific to the region, and it's, just not something that you see very often or you would hear very often, and it is a good one for sure.
And I kind of want to see the salmon color that the Kraken used, with the NHL Seattle,
Right.
branding first. They use that salmon color on a women's uniform. I think it looked cool.
Right. I mean, I like it's Ballard FC, right?
Yeah,
That uses it um over on the soccer side of things, and I've liked a lot of the merch that they've put out and the way that they've, used that as a main color for them, and then the accent colors that they've had go along with it. I think it totally works.
yeah. And then Jason, a fan of Seattle Freeze. Lindsay saying it felt like Matty played bigger and heavier than his size tonight. Looked strong on the skates, bodying guys on the puck. And I think that's a good observation there, Lindsay. Dylan, you remember there were a couple times where we turned around, to the people up in the press bridge with us like, oh, kind of surprised Matty didn't fall down there.
Yes, there was those moments. Look, I don't know that it would necessarily be that he is stronger all of a sudden magically in mid-January, right? 40 something games into a season. I think so much of this is just he's playing confident. He's just got that confidence, right? He's part of a legit number one line, a line that can go out there and chew up over 20 minutes. He's getting PK time. He's getting, trusted by his coaching staff to do all of this stuff. And most importantly, he's finally actually getting rewarded. He is picking up goals. He's getting assists. He is putting up points. And from going to those areas, right? We talked a lot earlier in the season about how he was actually outputting more high danger chances. He was trying to go to those areas. He wasn't necessarily getting rewarded. You know how much that affects a hockey player's confidence. And I think, just the fact that things have kind of turned around, most specifically with that line, and that line is just kind of everything they do ends up, being the right thing to do, and they're getting all the good bounces, and all of that stuff is just going their way. I think it makes you just that little bit extra confident, and he's just kind of playing with that confidence, that swagger, carrying himself maybe a little bit different. Well, really wants to take that contact and prove that he can. And I just think so much of those little things are the mental side of the game when you get to this level, the highest level. And I really, don't think we should discount how much of this could just be he's confident for the first time this season.
Yeah, and I think Matty, just watching him the last few years, he just seems like a very confidence-driven player. When things are going well, they're going well, and vice versa. Super chat here from Kendall. Not much to say that hasn't already been said about this one, so I'll leave it at "Go Kraken." I think that's a good message if you're gonna just leave it at something.
Short and sweet. I love it.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat, Kendall. Appreciate that. And then we've got Hockey Mom asking, "Who got the belt? Do you know, Dylan?"
So it was sitting next to Jaden Schwartz's locker. So I think that's pretty safe call there to go
That's
ahead and
good
call it.
enough for confirmation. I think that's usually the level of evidence that I will go with when I just put something in chat report. You know what? Yeah, Schwartz belt.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, well deserved. Like no
Oh
one's
yeah.
arguing with that.
No, not at all. No, it belonged with him today for sure.
Although I did like to see, especially early on in chat, you weren't here for the very beginning of it, but just how much love Joey got
Mhm.
right away. And we talked about Schwartz a little bit after that, but the main reaction from everybody was just how awesome Joey was. And I love that people appreciated that. Despite the hat trick in the building and all that stuff, people appreciated the goalie.
Oh, I mean, everybody is going to in this building, kind of regardless of which goaltender is in net. And that's one of the things I love about watching games here at Climate Pledge. And we did get more from Joey too. It didn't really fit earlier, but did ask him about the empty net situation across from him, and whether or not it went through his mind. And he confirmed that, after seeing the Nedeljkovic goal and situation yesterday, it was absolutely on his mind. And he definitely had the attitude of, if he was going to have the opportunity, he was going for it tonight. He was very confident in that was what was going to happen. Just didn't quite really, didn't come together for him, unfortunately. But he was like all in on going for it if the opportunity arose.
Yeah, I figured the Nedeljkovic thing might be present on his mind after that happened yesterday. And he did get the puck with like maybe 2 seconds left, right? And I think
Yeah.
he did see how much time was left on the clock, knew there was no chance, and just kind of threw it into the corner. But if there was a few more seconds, I bet he would have gone for it.
Yeah.
Edward, Seattle is a great place for a prospect to get a cup of coffee, both literally and figuratively. That is a classic Edward chat there.
Yes, it is. And it's very true though, right? So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Like I said, there's the potential for a lot of change in this upcoming off season, and that really would dictate how much playing time you can give to your young players. And so, there's two ways about going about it, and I am not going to be in charge of making that decision on which direction you go. So it's hard to say.
To Joey for a second, Stratic. I think Joey was more excited to be third star than Schwartz was to be first. Yeah, and I don't know if the broadcast caught it. I missed it on camera. I think our buddy Charles at Circling Seattle Sports was taking video of it. Maybe he put that up there somewhere. But as Schwartz was going out there, Joey threw a couple water bottles at him from the bench as he was going out to be first star. So that was kind of fun. And then yeah, Kendall, Joey's energy and charm is simply unmatched. Absolutely. And this message here, this just like warms my heart. I love to see this one from Christian. I got a friend into hockey this season. He had a big Filipino birthday party tonight, and they watched hockey for the first time. They were confused but thrilled. That might be my favorite chat of the night. I love when people get into the sport, especially who aren't familiar with it. They picked a good game to watch, and I hope they were more thrilled than confused, and they give it another shot.
I was gonna say dicey proposition, getting them into hockey and then picking Seattle Kraken games to watch, right? But no, that is awesome to hear. That is the best. I mean, that's what you and I have just wanted to see from really everybody, and yeah, hopefully they had a good time. I got to imagine they did with this game. It was a fun one to watch.
Definitely. And kind of funny that comes up as I just mentioned our buddy Charles at Circling Seattle Sports. To talk about big Filipino birthday parties, you got to go to his this year now that you're up here in Seattle. It is a fun time.
Very excited. And you know what? Shout out to Charles also for putting up with me. I was maybe in a rare form tonight up on the press bridge, and a lot of it was directed at him. But I just want to say that thanks for putting up with me, Charles. You're a real one.
Yep, he certainly is. And yeah, you were giving him a hard time tonight. You were on your game. I'm used to it over years, but I think, it's it's still a little new to him. This one from Jeffrey. I thought I read something about the NHL salary cap expected to go up much higher than expected next season. If true, how would that impact the future for potential, or in fact, the future or potential buyouts? And yeah, that more reports came out on that. I think, what was the report from Sarah Valley earlier today that like the escrow payments have been paused or whatever because there's just so much revenue?
Oh, so, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, look into that report. So it definitely hints at the cap going even higher than we imagined, which, I mean, you have been predicting the last couple of years.
Yes, I won't take a full victory lap on that again. But yeah, I mean, look, we knew that it was going to go up potentially a lot. We thought that maybe the escrow stuff was going to keep it down a little bit from the max of what it could potentially reach this upcoming off season. It sounds like, though, if they're really raking in that much dough, then maybe that's not going to be the case. Maybe they can kind of go for the maximum increase there based on the revenue. It is interesting, and I would love to kind of do a deep dive into where we think that revenue is actually coming from, because we look at different metrics and things aren't necessarily great from a growth perspective with the NHL. But boy, I could think of one major thing that has entered the conversation with North American sports these last couple of years that probably has something to do with all of these leagues having their different financial situations greatly improved.
I bet I know what that might be.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that is interesting to see. And then as far as how it affects the future and buyouts for the Kraken, I think it's a good thing. Kraken fans should want that cap to go up as high as it possibly can because the Kraken are capped out and they've spent a lot of money on existing contracts that are long-term deals. And the more the cap goes up, the better those deals look. So Kraken fans should certainly want the cap to go way up, and it does allow for more buyouts. The thing that buyouts do is, it takes what 66% usually of that contract, but it spreads it out over double the number of years. And so the later that money is, it's like how far money goes with inflation, right? If the cap goes up, the same dollar figure is lesser and lesser percentage of the cap. So it does make buyouts seem more desirable, and the equation works a little bit better in the buyouts favor. So, and with the Kraken having a couple players that maybe you could talk about buying out, that's just more positives of the cap going way up.
Yeah, and again, the cap, the reasons I thought the cap would go up was, obviously gambling coming in is certainly part of it, but there's CBA a couple years, potentially starting to get negotiated on any day now, right? Didn't they say early 2025 or maybe springtime? So you've got a CBA negotiation coming up here. Also, TV deals are going to be coming up. The national TV deals, or at least the USA-based one, is going to be coming up. And unlike last time when that deal was negotiated, you're not not like in the middle of COVID. So there's potential that is higher, and also that could be higher because advertising dollars on the TV side of things are higher because of, again, gambling. Like, I don't think the presence of having sports betting ads can kind of be denied at this point, and what it's allowed both sides of the equation, of the broadcasting side and also on the league side of things, how impactful it's been as far as just the explosion of revenue growth for both of those entities. Whether or not that's a good thing, I don't know. Whether or not it's going to be a long-term thing, I don't know. I mean, that's also part of this, but it's one where right now I got to think broadcasters having that big influx of cash, the fact that there's so much competition in that space, you've got multiple entities having to kind of fill up every commercial block with as many ads as they can, and this works for local regional stuff too. I got to think that's making them look at sports in a different light than maybe they would have, just because sports have had aging demographic problems. Different sports leagues have had declining viewership, and that has been a potential issue. I think that a lot of that has been shored up on the broadcasting side of things just because of the influx of the legalized sports gambling.
Yeah, and I do worry that it'll make the NHL kind of forget about the real mission of growing the game and doing all the right things fundamentally, because this temporary influx of, oh, look how we're doing money-wise with the gambling.
It's not like they were that bought into that mission.
Yeah, good point. Good
the
point. They weren't going to do that anyway. You're right.
Yeah.
And I like this one from Ending Soonest. Isn't it crazy how we oscillate between joy and depression every 2 games? Yeah, and B, Kraken hockey truly is a never-ending pendulum between we're so back and it's so over. It really is.
I would take 2 games. It's been like 4 games this year, it feels like.
It's true. Yeah, that is the way it has gone, but I would definitely take more games like this. It's just more fun than the losses we had in this building before the last road trip.
No, it definitely is. And there's elements of it, right? If you're looking at the big picture and the long-term outlook and stuff, this was a night where some of the teams that are below you in the standings got wins. Does getting a win here ultimately help you as much? Again, it's too hard to root for stuff like that for me. Like, I just can't.
And I think you would be really happy with, especially early on in chat, like the main thing that people were talking about was just even the people who said they were on Team Tank were totally happy about this game and were ready to enjoy it. And I think just about everybody was on board, whether they wanted the 2 points or not.
Yeah, no, that is awesome to hear. That is definitely good to hear.
Yeah, and seeing all the positive words here for Joey Decord, his light shines so bright, to talk about the face of the franchise. I mean, at this point, and maybe that's like a longer discussion, right, for a podcast or this sort of thing, probably like a summer discussion too, but like real quick first impressions, like given that Matty Beniers was kind of supposed to be the face of the franchise, and he's looking good now, but he's had his struggles. Shane Wright still is on his way there and getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, to what extent is Joey Decord the face of the franchise?
I mean, he is right now. Like, I don't even think you need to have a discussion, right? Like, who's the person in the Alaska Airlines ads, right?
And that's true. It's Joey
Who's the person on just about every ad that you see on the Kraken Hockey Network that's going to play every other commercial break? Because that's just how the ads on the Kraken Hockey Network work right now. But
And
but
Joey
like
can't do the checking one, so
exactly. So there's that component of it. You just walk around the arena. Like, they've even got the Alaska digital banner outside CPA, so you're seeing him there. I just think he's been their most consistent performer, and I think that this off season, especially, there was a big push to get him out there and for him to do a lot of these deals. And look, he's got a great personality. We've talked about it before. He's a joy to talk to and deal with regardless of situation. There's a reason we go to him after tough losses, because that you're still going to get something good. I think he's just one of those guys that has at least some level of the it factor. He's very well spoken. He can compose himself and give you something good on the fly pretty consistently. He's for an athlete, a pretty decent actor. And so I think he's got a lot going for him beyond just what he is doing on the ice, where again, he's also your most consistent performer. He's the person keeping you in games. He's on most nights in which you do win, probably the biggest reason why you won. So I think all of those factors combined mean he is your guy.
yeah, definitely. And I see everybody in chat seems to be fully on board with that. He's got the charisma. He actually has a personality. He's not too media trained. He's got a broadcasting career after he retires for sure, says Lindsay. If he wants to do that, I could see him doing that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioning, not just the Alaska ad, but also the Lotto ad. I mean, it's in my opinion, it's a pretty brutal ad. I don't like that ad a lot. Like,
Yeah, I don't
I think
either.
it demeans Kraken fans a lot. But Joey is legit good. Like, he does play off of the other person there really well, and he does kind of in some ways save that ad.
He does, yeah. And again, I'm not a fan of that ad, but like Joey does a good job in it. Yeah, Jared pointed out the interview after the Winter Classic.
Yeah.
Man, we could talk for another hour just about all the awesome Joey Decord on-camera moments. But I do think we need to turn the conversation a little bit to the next game. The Kraken are back at it on Monday at 1 p.m. So the Monday 1 p.m. game, I feel like that's pretty rare. And it's against the Buffalo Sabres, a team the Kraken played in their last road trip. We know how bad Buffalo is. What I want to see from the Kraken, because they've just faced two good teams, is the kind of effort that they've given for good teams, but put it against a bad team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Find that motivation to go out there and just take care of business against a bad team, even though you can get away with probably playing, I don't know, against Buffalo, 10 minutes of hockey. You can play 10 minutes of good hockey and probably win that game, but bring a full 60 just because.
Only if Buffalo's got the lead. See, that's the trick. You got to give Buffalo the lead early, and then you can get away with anything you
I think
want.
the Kraken
Buffalo
would have no
doesn't want
problem
that.
with that if they put their mind to it. That's for sure.
Look, I would love to see them start a game on time and have a big push in the first period for the third game in a row. I thought they've done a good job of that these last couple. Dan talked about the second period for this one, said best second period they've had this year. Don't know if he meant calendar year or talking about the season. I'll leave that up for everybody to try to figure out there. But the bottom line is they are finding ways of kind of changing the dynamic. It's almost like a direct 180 of what they were doing before, where like the first 10 minutes are the best 10 minutes, and then maybe you get diminishing results from there, unlike previously where they could not start at all on time, but boy, were they going to finish strong. The elusive full 60 or full 50, 55 is still out there for them. But I think if you can just kind of keep doing what you're doing, it resulted in a very close game against Winnipeg where, bad bounce really kills you at the end. And then obviously the performance tonight against a really good LA Kings team. Just keep that rolling. And if you can do that against Buffalo, you're going to be in great shape.
Yeah, to quote Chandler Stevenson, just keep doing what we're doing, and just keep it rolling. Sorry, I still can't get over that quote. But I want to close it out with a big super chat here from LGG. Go Kraken.
Yeah, or go. Like I said, those short and sweet super chats, they're great. Appreciate that.
Yep, love that. Love all the super chats. Thank you everybody so much. There were so many super chats in this one. Love how active the chat was tonight. Love how happy everybody was to celebrate a big Kraken win. And of course, love our sponsor, Queen Anne Beer Hall. I think Dylan, you could even do the point. Can you do the point?
right there.
There you go,
Oh, I
right
can be
down there.
like Yanni Gord in the on the broadcast when they're like doing
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
thing. Should I be like, I don't know how much I can like really like bend with my back, but I can
Yeah,
try doing
don't
some
push
fun
it. We
stuff.
don't need you back on IR. We don't need the roster spot.
Yes.
It's fine. All right. But thank you everyone for joining us for this post game live. A very fun one, and we'll see you Monday afternoon. Maybe not even full evening. Monday afternoon after the game against the Buffalo Sabres.
Yep.